Morning, everybody. Morning, motherfuckers. It's a way to start the morning. They always tell me you shouldn't swear in the first 5 minutes because YouTube will monetize you or whatever. I'm like, oh, well. I don't think they're paying me anyway. So. I don't work for YouTube. Do you work for YouTube?
No.
Hell no. Eugene Khoza is here, ladies and gentlemen. We thought we'd start off with a bang this morning. And who better to bring in here than one of our favorite people in the whole world? First of all, very, very happy New Year. I think we can still say that, right?
Gareth, you know the rules.
Statute of limitation.
You know, it expires on the 7th
Right.
of the month
Right.
of Jan. Then it's over.
Yeah.
Because now we're well into the first week. So,
Well, we are here. We are live. Leigh-Ann is also, she's alive. Hello.
Hi.
Zelda, how are you?
Good.
All right, very good. I heard you woke up to no power, but there's no load shedding. So I don't know what's happening in your neighborhood. It's particularly shit there, obviously, on the 9th of Jan. Happy New Year, ass.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, listen, we got a lot to get into this morning. I mean, I feel like I've been away for weeks, but it's actually only been 2 weeks. It's crazy. I mean, like this time last week, we were still on public holiday.
my worst time of the year. I hate
Do you hate it?
I hate December.
Why?
Because it just proves that being middle class is a joke as a black person.
Dude, not just as a black person. I took a picture of this yesterday because I saw this on the internet and I thought, like, bloody hell. Here it is. Medieval peasants worked only 150 days a year.
No way.
The church believed it was important to keep them happy with frequent and mandatory holidays. In other words, we have less holidays than a medieval peasant.
And a shittier diet.
Right.
Because peasants ate very well. Because you had to be strong.
No, they
to
grew
be you know what I'm saying?
And they grew their own food.
Yes.
And even the meanest feudal lord wanted his peasants to be healthy and strong, not weak and pathetic, because otherwise he couldn't use them in war or for farming or anything else.
Exactly. So the gladiators ate barley, and then the slaves in medieval times, the peasants ate what paisana food, what we eat in Italian restaurants, right?
Exactly. The stuff that you can grow that is good for you, not this
guys.
processed shit. You know what the worst thing is? We've become a new kind of slave because now we pull up to the takeaway place and we eat that terrible food and it makes us worse. So we're not only, they had 150 days of holiday a year. 150, just less than half. Just less than half the year they had off in those days.
Surely that was to grow the food and, like, you know, do all the stuff that machines do now.
They probably did a 4-day working week because the week and the weekend was invented during the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
It was to get those children with their little hands in the factories assembling shit faster, right? We needed to put those kids to work. Now, I'm not opposed to that, as you know. One of our policies on this show has always been that if there's a segment of the population that are just takers, it's the children. Yes. They don't pay taxes.
That's why I've never had a child, because I knew that you would have scooped it up immediately and put it to work.
Oh, that's nice of you. First day of the new year, and you're blaming me for your being a barren single lady, right?
With
my
no
fault.
Power in the morning.
It's my fault. Yeah, no power. What else is my fault? You're like the ANC. Collective responsibility. Speaking of them, can we just? I left for what was a very short holiday. I had like 3 days in Cape Town, 3 days in KZN. And I had an event to go to in Cape Town, which was a friend of mine's wedding. And in KZN, I had to do a New Year's thing. So it wasn't like it was downtime, you know, sitting at the pool or whatever.
Yes.
That didn't happen. But when I left, on the day I left, the ANC were having a conference. And I thought, oh, well, at least when I get back, that'll be over. Well, fuck me. I get back. They're having another part 2.
It was Avatar.
What was this? I don't understand.
The way of the ANC.
Are you telling me that they couldn't get enough bullshit hot air out there in the first however many days when they re-elected Cyril throughout? Shame. You know, I spare a thought for Lindiwe Sisulu, Naledi Pandor, Ace Magashule, and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, because what are they going to do now? They're not
go on pension, maybe.
Oh, Oh,
maybe,
and that'll be sizable. It won't be. It won't be sad. It won't be.
No,
like,
it won't be at all.
Your grandmother and mine, if mine was alive, would definitely have done a lot worse than them.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right. Gotcha.
So these people deserve to be on pension. I mean,
Right.
the extension of the conference was just to give Ace Makashule more chest pains, because how dare he enjoy his New Year's Eve without even more chest pains looming in the future for him? Because you remember he watched the conference at a Sasol garage.
Oh, shame. Is that true?
Shame.
Is that true?
Yes. He watched it from there and he said, it's only a matter of 5 years. If the branch are like, we're eating. Not now. We'll see you. The branches were like, we're nowhere to be seen. Who are these branches that Ace keeps talking about, So it's over for him. There's a new sheriff in town, Figile Mbalula, touting his pistol in the air.
And he is definitely having fun in his new role. He is
having the best time.
He had the best New Year. I guarantee you he got so drunk for at least those days in between the first conference and the second one. He was pretty much pissed
drunk
the whole
on
time.
Alcohol or power?
Everything. Everything.
I think as a country, we're in for the biggest roast we've ever seen, because it's going to be between Julius Malema, the internet wars.
Oh, God.
Because those two guys have speakers, have PR people, but they'll never use them because they like speaking for themselves.
Yeah. They're like Trump. They get on the toilet at 3 a.m. and start tweeting.
So we're about to have a showdown. It's going to be a roast royale this year.
Well, listen, let's just look at what we've got coming right at us this year, because we've hit the road running. And we're in the studio this morning. I'm sorry that you couldn't make it, Ass. We've got power here, by the way. Hi.
Yeah, no, I'm very jealous. I think I'll definitely take up the offer if you're there again next week. For sure.
No, we'll be doing a minimum of a show a week from here. So we will be back with a vengeance. And this year is going to be good. By the way, I'm going to switch on all the social media that I had off, because it's time to get. Yeah, cool. Please, it's time to get back in the game.
Who's been replying my DMs to you then?
On Twitter.
On Instagram.
Oh, no, that's me.
No,
that's me. Don't worry.
I sent a few nudes as well. So I was like,
whoa,
who saw those?
God. Like, that's all. New Year isn't a new year unless Eugene Khoza sending you nudes. Said me and 500 women across the country. I'm the only guy who gets them. Lucky me.
You're on my broadcast.
and all this time it was Gareth's mom who was monitoring his Instagram for him.
Oh, wait, my camera's gone off. This is irritating. Hang on, let me just rework my camera here.
Maybe if you were at home, it would work.
It would, guaranteed.
What are you using if you don't have electricity at your house, Leigh-Ann? How are you online?
Baby, I'm using my hotspot.
Ooh, sexy time.
Maybe I should be on your broadcast.
Hotspot and natural light.
Okay.
So now I got to adjust this, because now I've changed cameras. Now I've got the monster lighting from underneath. This is why you've got to be on our YouTube, by the way, because then you can see me in full HD looking as shit as possible at like 6 a.m. So great.
No, I think the lighting's a bit more flattering day.
Yes.
Leigh-Ann, I miss radio where nobody knew what we looked like.
Oh, wasn't it the best?
You could roll in. We used to roll in there in a, like t-shirt and tracksuit pants. We used to look like absolute shit every morning because there weren't cameras in the studio. We didn't need to do that.
No one deserved to know our business there. We just did it underground.
And they thought we were much prettier than we were.
So you guys like being anonymous like the ANC branches?
Definitely. Definitely. 100%. So let's just talk about a few things, because this year is starting hot with my favorite people, Harry and Meghan. They're all over the news. And I really thought it was only the British who are obsessed with royalty, but evidently it's everyone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the most well-informed channels that I watch to get like really good royal news from is from a young American girl.
Yeah.
She knows everything about royalty.
I wonder, like humans have the religious impulse, which used to, when I was a very militant atheist once, it used to bother me. I would be like, okay, well, maybe we just can't eradicate this religious impulse. People need to believe in something. My opinion has changed since then, but I still believe there's a religious impulse. So I'm wondering if there isn't a royal impulse. I'm wondering if people don't, because of years and years of most cultures in the world being run by autocrats for thousands of years. Most of human history, there was a chief, a king, an emperor, someone you had to obey and bow down to.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that isn't inculcated in us to the degree where now we're still interested in them, even when they're simpering, pathetic, ginger, inbred losers who, just because they are, His Royal Highness and father's a king, now we must all suddenly take an interest in them because is this just something that we have to deal with as humans?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of nosiness and voyeurism and familiarity, because ultimately all of this, what it is just a family soapy.
Yeah,
we've all had those situations. We all have family drama. The matriarch, the uncle that does this, the cousin and then the one that brings a wife that wants to destroy the entire family, the makoti that comes through and doesn't want to wake up in the morning and tweets about her mother-in-law being a bitch. So we all have that, and Meghan just put it out there for all of us to see.
She's into it,
and I'm having a good time watching it because I'm like, he and her are going to be the end of that family.
Yeah, they're putting a nail in that coffin. Look, certainly they'll never come back. I mean, there's going to be after this. There's no way in.
They don't want to.
They've decided to slash and burn.
But for people who don't want to come back, surely they're talking too much about a family that they don't want to be part of. Right?
Well, this just shows you. And also, by the way, I mean, you saw all the memes over the weekend about Harry saying he shot 25 Taliban when he was in Afghanistan. Now, first of all, there are a bunch of people going, oh my God, innocent people. They weren't innocent people. It was war. He was in the army. That's how wars work. Not everything is your feminist utopia where everybody can hug and have drum circles. And armpit hair. Jesus. I mean, really, like, how much more feminized would you like men to be, ladies? How much more pathetic?
You want us to steam our yonis as well?
Yeah, exactly. Prince Harry's like a feminist's dream of a man, like this pathetic guy you can drag around by the nose, and he is all those things. And maybe that's what Meghan was after, because she hasn't turned him into this. He always was this, right? Let's not blame her.
Yes, but
she is a conniving, vindictive bitch as well. This whole thing is just destructive. They have no interest in building or creating anything new. They're sapping what little energy remains in royalty, and they're using it to just push themselves a little bit further and make a bit more money. And it's exactly what I predicted when the whole thing happened. Not the marriage. I was very much for it when the marriage happened. But when these two decided they were going to go their own way, I was like, I can smell what this is going to do.
You did? You called it.
And I think Meghan has political ambitions as well.
You know, when I watched the documentary of theirs on Netflix, if there's one thing that turned me against Meghan was the fact that when she said she didn't know who this guy was, I was like, that's impossible.
It's impossible, right? There's no way she couldn't have known who this guy was.
That's impossible.
No, and that she didn't know how to curtsy to the Queen. And
oh my God.
Nonsense. They're making it up. Now apparently Harry's changed his story this morning. You were telling me that he's now said, oh, no, there wasn't any racism from the family.
Yes.
When the baby was born.
Yes.
Now, we were all told that was the headline after the Oprah interview, the racism, racism, and that was the reason anyone took any notice of these two. And by the way, I checked this out just out of pure interest for those people who are racists. If you are a racist towards Meghan, you're expending a lot of energy on someone who's 3/4 white.
Yes.
She's only 1/4. For her to claim blackness is a bit of a cheek to those dark brothers and sisters in Senegal.
Yes.
You are being a very, very cheeky woman to claim just with your quarter, because Obama said, well, I've got one white parent, one black, but Meghan is less black than Barack Obama. If we're gonna, because this is what racists are interested in, right?
Yes.
Racists are interested.
She can't even spell. She can't even spell her quarter with a K.
No,
not even
exactly. Listen. The real racists in the world used to actually classify people according to how much black or white they had in them, right? If you were pure white, you were something special. If you were pure black, you were something evil. That was what they used to. The real racists. Now, this woman, out of her 4 grandparents, 3 were white people. So the racists are, I don't believe they're interested in her. She's not a great target for them. They should be going after like, I don't know, Idris or whoever, if they really want to be racist. It's a bad target. Anyway, I also want to talk about this thing with Harry with the 25 Taliban. So
I like that.
The funniest thing
25
is,
unnamed Taliban.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It's like a Harry Potter book.
These poor guys. You've seen
Harry
them.
and the 25 Nice one, Leigh-Ann.
Harry Wales and the 25 Taliban. The two memes that I loved from this were, number one, there's a photo of all these Taliban guys lined up and it says this is the queue at Harry's book signing.
Oh my God.
And the other one was this guy who tweeted, he said, guys, let's face it, the Taliban weren't killed by Harry in war. They were captured, and then when they were in the camp, he forced them to listen to his sob stories for so long they shot themselves.
But also, the thing with Meghan, she doesn't identify as black. I think she was forced in a corner to identify as black, right? For a long time, she didn't.
She chose. Here's the funny thing that's happened in America now. I don't say this is true all over the world.
Yeah.
In America right now, you get white people who are claiming to be black, like that Rachel Dolezal woman.
Oh man, she's my hero.
And then
Rachel Dolezal was my hero.
There've been a few others. There've been some people recently who've been claiming to be Native American, even though they're not. They've been in the news quite a lot over the last 3-4 weeks. There was this woman who, you know, it's always these pure white women, like these white suburban, like you can't get whiter than these women. And then they claim they have a Native American name, like, I don't know, Slow Feather or something. Hawkeye. I don't know what their fucking name is.
Two Rivers.
Yeah, Two Rivers. And they come out and they claim to be Native American. And then it always, when you read the headline, Native American woman complaining about how a team is called the Braves or whatever. You're not allowed to use the term
Indiana Braves.
They tried to get the Harvard, I think it was Harvard, published a list of problematic words. And one of these problematic words was chief. Now, sorry, chief was used all over the world. In fact, a chef in the kitchen was a French term for chefs long before Native Americans were incorporated into the English language anyway. So chief is a word that everybody uses. Here in Africa, we've used the word chief.
The ANC uses the word chief.
People go chief. Anyway.
Yes.
Apparently now you're not meant to use that word because it's appropriation of like Native American culture, which is nonsense. Anyway, these white women claim to be Native American because here's what's happened, is it is no longer useful politically. It doesn't get you any points to be white. So now in America, it's more useful to be Native American or black or anything else. Because you'll get into college easier, you'll get a job, you'll be considered ahead of someone else. Because this is what's happened. It's completely inverted from the way that it used to be, where it was, you know, like, so now you have the opposite of what you used to have, where, you know, during apartheid, there were a lot of colored people and Indian people who wanted to get classified as white. Remember, by the old racist regime. I love that we're talking about this because no one cares anymore, but it's still funny.
We do.
Now, well, of course, but they don't care. Like, now it is not advantageous in America to be white anymore. So you get these white women who they don't have a story, they don't have anything to really talk about. So they're like, well, if I pretend to be Native American, I might get some attention, and they do get attention. So it's perverse incentives. So you end up with people like Meghan, who probably went through the whole high school, like, you know, she just had a nice tan or whatever.
Yes.
And nobody even noticed. I mean, I didn't know she was black on Suits. Did you?
I didn't know as well.
And
I didn't know.
And it wasn't part of the story as far as I can recall.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was never brought up.
And then suddenly she is, because she's marrying into the royal family. And I'm like, well, okay, you know, this is just convenient right now. This is what, so people are all milking whatever narrative is convenient to them. And that's fine. That's all good and well. I mean, if you can claim something that makes you seem to yourself and other people more interesting, do it with my blessing.
But this brings me to a topic that I always have with my friends. And I always say, when you're mixed race, do you have a right to choose which race you are?
Can choose, I think. Don't you?
But guys.
What is the rule? I mean, this is something we never talk about this.
That's what I want to know.
And by the way, when you boil it down and you go back far enough, we're all mixed race anyway. Because the only reason that there are different races is because of climate.
Yes.
That's the only reason some people develop this pigment, other people that pigment. There's certain genetic variations, but they are minuscule. I mean, we have so little to differentiate. This is why people who in the early 1800s to early 1900s, you had these people who were called, well, they were racist, but there was another word for them.
Besides racist, what were they called?
No, there was another name for them. They were like
Afriforum?
No. They were almost like Eugene, eugenicists. Yes. They were almost like eugenicists. And eugenicists were the ones who thought, oh well, the Nazis were eugenicists, for example. They said, well, if someone's got bad genes or whatever, they must
But
die.
the Nazis would have loved you, Gareth. You've got like blonde eyebrows.
Jesus. Well, let's not talk about it.
You would have been having the best time ever in your tailored Hugo Boss suit.
I'm glad to say, though. I'm glad you thought Hugo Boss need to be smacked around some more. Listen, there are lots of brands this year that are going to have a shit time. All those brands who've been hiding and they're like, oh, we're such a nice brand. We're so good and everybody loves us and we're so great. They're all going to be knocked out.
But like Balenciaga.
Yeah.
And Louis Vuitton for their satchels.
Where were we? Oh, so these racists in the 1900s, the eugenicists Khozas. These people, they used to say that there were huge genetic variations between the races. There weren't. There were none. They could never find any. Even when we managed to map the DNA, no, you cannot tell the difference in someone's DNA.
No way.
It's next to impossible. And mixed race people, even more confusing. Because you could do two different readings and they'll come out completely differently. There isn't a black gene or a white gene.
There's only a Eugene.
There's a Eugene. Yeah, your name has come up a lot in good and bad context this morning. So, I mean, this is why it's ridiculous to be obsessed with this stuff.
Yes.
Like people are in the media at the moment.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
It needs to be this. Now, there's this thing in California, for example, that they're trying to put into action now with reparations. But the problem is that there are some people in California who they present black, right? Mm-hmm. But they had one ancestor who was a slave owner and one ancestor who was a slave. Now, do they pay themselves a reparation? How does that work?
Like Rand Merchant Bank? Do they pay? Are they going to pay themselves reparations to own a business?
Exactly.
And enslave black people more into debt? Are they going to do that?
Well, this is the problem, is that it's way too complicated. Humans, we're all a mixed up bag of things.
But monetizing being mixed race has become a popular thing in the last 5 to 7 years, I think, all over the world. Barack Obama, now Meghan, and a whole lot of other people that we won't mention here because we kind of know them. But it's become a thing now.
Everybody knew exactly who you're talking about
because,
for a second.
Because why is it that in this country, it became popular to say, I'm not colored, I'm mixed race?
Oh, that was an American import. I had two American friends with me. A mate of mine who I've known for a long time from South Africa, but he's been living in America for at least the last 14, 15 years. So he speaks like an American now. He lives in New York. He's dating a girl who's from New Jersey. And she was like, what words do you guys use here that are different to the words we use? And I said, oh, well, we call it a robot instead of a traffic light and that kind of thing. But then I said, well, the word that you really want to know about is colored.
I like that. Because what you're trying to figure out is, what do we call him?
Because I said to you, you can't say he or colored in America. That's like,
that's not good there.
No, it's dangerous. But in South Africa, we have the Coon Carnival in Cape Town, and we
sponsored by the government.
No, it was sponsored by a lottery thing this time.
With Kerry Peto and Carol Bauer.
Yeah. They had a lottery sponsor, and a lot of the guys from the carnival. They were very unhappy. They're like, no, we don't want this because it's a gambling company, and they think that gambling companies are sinful.
Oh, because they're Muslim.
Well, or they're very religious Christians. So either way. They don't like it. So religious Christian or Muslim, they don't like the power. I think it was, what's the thing called? Hollywood Bets or whatever.
Oh, they didn't want Hollywood Bets becoming a sponsor.
Because it was called the Hollywood Bets Carnival or something. They were like, no, it's not that. They would prefer it to be called the Coon Carnival, frankly.
Hollywood Bets would open wages against the royal family as well.
We have these weird things. Like South Africa, we say colored, and colored people in South Africa are proud to use the term colored. That's what they want to be called. In America, you can't do that. So mixed race is an American term that we've imported. It's become cool.
It's become so cool. So I want to know, Leigh-Ann, if you were married to a black man or not married, just had a child with a black man, how would your child identify? What would you tell your child as soon as they go, what's going on here?
I know what she's going to say. She's going to say, I'll let the child choose, which is a cop-out. What are you going to say? Am I wrong?
Yeah, what are you going to say? What box are you going to take when you apply for first grade of school and they they ask you what's going on here, because at school I see these ones, and I see me, and I see you and dad and his family, and you and your family. What am I?
What are you?
A unicorn.
What is your child? A unicorn.
Come on.
If I had to tick a box,
yeah,
if I had to tick a box and there was a box for mixed race, I would have put mixed race. But I think it depends a lot on what sort of culture the child was brought up in, you know? Like I, for instance, have Jewish heritage, but I was never brought up in a Jewish cultural way. So I identify as traditionally Christian.
She's coming up with a long excuse.
Yeah.
But didn't you? I've worked with you long enough to know when you're going to talk a whole lot of bullshit. Eugene still thinks you're going to like answer honestly. And usually you are. I'm not saying
you're Naledi Pando answer.
Exactly.
Diplomatic.
Political. So didn't you have Christmas with someone Jewish this year? And it was their first Christmas?
Yes. So a family friend who's in his late 30s and has never experienced Christmas before.
No way.
Yeah, it's quite surprising.
Where were they for the last 30-something years?
No, it's quite surprising.
Where were they?
They were busy
where they couldn't
being Jewish.
Yes.
Hey?
Where were they being Jewish? And there was no
Joburg.
exposure to Christmas. They didn't go to Spa and see a Christmas tree.
No.
They
They've seen
the
that.
jingle balls, nothing.
They hadn't had a Christian family Christmas Day lunch and open presents day.
Oh, right. So they knew what Christmas was, but they hadn't,
of course,
hadn't experienced it.
Yeah. So
how did that go? Did they after the whole thing say, well, thank God I'm not one of you guys?
Well, they felt like there was a little bit of extra pressure to perform because, Christmas can be kind of an underwhelming experience when we look at it in the way that we celebrate it. It's just a day with our families. We have the Christmas tree, we eat turkey, we open presents, but it's not like, for instance, some of the Jewish holidays, and especially the more celebrative ones, take place over weeks, and there's a lot of like pomp and ceremony around it. So, the expectation was that you don't want to. Well, you see, I was wrong because he did say, no, it's basically the same. We pray and eat.
Pray and eat.
Eat, pray, love.
Listen, I remember Damon used to say to me, all it is we survived. We weren't killed in the desert or by Hitler. Let's eat. That was always his thing. and I thought, well, that's kind of, holidays for most people are let's eat.
Yes,
exactly.
I'm at least 2 kilograms overweight after Christmas, so don't feel bad if you are.
Well, let me tell you about the eating part. There was a terrible power outage from an electrical pipe from the 1930s, which was so deep in the ground that it took like 4 days just to get to it by the municipal workers. They worked throughout Christmas. Wow. They were there 24/7.
They should have got some of those cable thieves who keep stealing the cables in my area. They would have quickly.
My thing is there was electricity in the 30s in Joburg.
Hey. And
we really have gone backwards.
we really have gone backwards.
Joburg 2022, people sitting with candles. Joburg 1930s, electricity.
Yeah.
Did they find a router down there?
As a result, it was a problem for a lot of people because you plan like a 4-hour gammon and turkey in the oven. So people were like freaking out a bit. But guess who came to the rescue?
Who?
The Jew. So we had our turkey. We put our turkey in a juba.
Yeah.
To his house. Which was down the road.
Juba.
And the Jew cooked our turkey, our Christmas turkey. So he kept on sending pictures of saying, "How's the progress? Is this looking good?"
He doesn't
know. But yeah, he saved the day with that, which was awesome.
Did he touch the gammon?
No, definitely not.
That's where he drew the line.
Yeah, he drew the line.
Look,
Drew the line of the
The
gammon.
gammon had to be cooked in a different way. we had to resort to fire
right.
for the
Now
for the pork stuffing.
Get back to what your child can choose to be, black or white. Because
Yes.
I know my answer. You want to ask me first?
No,
So make it
I
easy for you?
want Leigh-Ann. I want Leigh-Ann to give me the answer.
Yeah, come on,
because,
we can force you.
Because
Yeah,
I've seen women like
she's
Leigh-Ann
full
at the
screen.
mall
There she is.
walking with
I
a
would
mixed
say,
race.
I would say mixed race. I don't know.
Why?
You know.
Mm.
So you wouldn't say, because you're part of me and you're part of my family that looks like this, you are part of us. You wouldn't say that?
Oh, so in other words, you think that I'm saying that they're not black or they're not white?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh,
Because that's what you're telling them.
No,
isn't that essentially what?
No. If I tell them, then you've got me, because they can be whoever they want to be.
That's what I said her answer would be.
But if I had to tick a box at a school and it said mixed race, I would, black, white, or mixed race, I would have ticked mixed race.
What if there's no mixed race box?
Now you're talking like Vervuta, like this. This is where all the shit starts.
So what if there's no mixed race box? There's white.
If there's no hermaphrodite box, yeah.
Intersex.
Remember all of that, yeah.
Which box would you tick, Leigh-Ann?
No, I don't know. I'm not ticking one.
She's not going to. You won't get it. She's too into like towing the middle line here, and she knows the danger. I would straight up.
There are whites who will say, as soon as there's any black in the blood, the child is black. If that's what you want to do.
Damn. Are they the same ones that cooked your turkey?
Megan's parents. You know, I would say straight up.
Yeah.
Like right now in South Africa, where I am.
Yeah.
Got to be black.
Yeah.
Got to be. And plus, like less bullshit to deal with.
Yes.
All the, there's none of that like apartheid stuff, and you can be a member of any party and just go be black. And if you want to be black, but you want the whites and the blacks to like you, and you don't mind being called a coconut, you can be that kind of black. If you want to be black, then you can go and do that as well. You know which kind I mean.
I know.
And if you want to be somewhere in between, that's yours. But I'm going to say, no, I got a black child, because also white people are so impressed with that.
Yes.
They're blown away by that, right?
NGOs love that.
Oh, they
US
love
Aid
that.
will give you money, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would tick black, because I think in mixed race relationships, the black gene wins.
They do. Absolutely, it
all
does.
the time.
It's dominant.
We know this. So when it's a farce.
If there's such a gene, obviously.
Yeah.
Eugene.
or skinny jeans from Tesla Hospital.
So you say you're like along the lines of biological science, where if parents have brown eyes and blue eyes, the child is more likely to have brown eyes.
Brown eyes.
Yes. There we go.
Okay.
That's probably about right.
Because in the township, we grew up around mixed race kids for so long.
Yeah.
And we never call them mixed race. They're black.
Right.
Because also there's so many shades. You only discover, only when you're dating a white person, how many shades of white people there are. Because Portuguese people don't consider themselves white.
No. They say they're Portuguese.
They say they are. Yes. And depending on where you're from in Portugal, they're also saying, I'm the black people of Portugal. If you're from Madeira, they're like, people from the mainland hate us because we don't look like them. And then in South Africa, the Jewish people are like, please don't involve me with the white people.
Wow.
Please.
Here's a complicated scenario from Venetia. Venetia says, my daughter is mixed and I'm colored. So what is she? My husband is Indian. So she calls herself South African Indian. Nothing else.
That's the daughter.
See, by your reckoning, she has to call herself black.
Yes, 100%.
But neither of the parents do.
Because you have to ask yourself, would you be cast in a Tyler Perry movie?
That's got to be this. All right. If that's the baseline, after a good December in the sun, I could be in. I think I could be in. Speaking of which. All right, we've got a lot to get into. There's so much to talk about here. We've also got like lots of time this morning because Dr. Hanan is only going to be with us next week. He is still on holiday. And for those people who only pitch up on Monday mornings to get free counseling, I'm sorry, you're going to have to deal with Eugene and Leigh-Ann and I. But there is a question.
The opposite of counseling.
Good luck.
Well, listen, if you're going to rely on us for counseling, take your chances, right? Because there are enough people on the internet at the moment proclaiming themselves as experts in psychology and all the rest of it. who are nowhere near and should be kept away from everybody. At least with Dr. Hanan, we know he's got the credit.
He's legit.
And his advice is good. So even if you don't believe, if you're not one of those people who gets impressed by a doctorate or any of that stuff, and there are a lot of people these days who are looking at that stuff going, well, that's bullshit anyway. Dr. Hanan is really sensible. So even if you're not impressed by his qualifications or the fact that he started the anxiety and trauma clinic, then maybe you like him for his good advice. That's one of the reasons I like him. But the cool thing about having Dr. Hanan on is he can also call us into line when we've done or said something stupid. And we have questions like this for him every week. You have a good question for this week, which we're going to answer in his absence. And we'll ask him about it later. I like this question. So it's come up a lot recently. There's a huge amount of noise. We've mentioned him once or twice on the show last year. I think we spoke about him a couple of times. Andrew Tate. He's become like a kind of hero for disenchanted men, incels, maybe also for a whole bunch of men who say, well, where's the masculinity being represented in society these days? Everybody talks about toxic masculinity, but what is the female version of toxic masculinity? That's your question.
That's my question, yeah.
So I think this is worth us having a go at. So Leigh-Ann, get ready for another uncomfortable question from Eugene. What would you call the female version of toxic masculinity, and what does it look like? How did this occur to you as a thought? Because that's where we're going to get into it.
Well, because I've been following a lot of what Andrew Tate has been saying, and obviously the famous internet guy in the US, I forgot his name, the one who spoke about Trump a lot with a hoarse voice.
The one with a hoarse voice?
Yeah, from the US, the one who has that huge podcast.
Rogan?
No, the other one. Rogan interviewed him the other day.
Who are we talking about?
He's a big Trump supporter.
Steve Bannon?
No, I'll remember. But then I was thinking
maybe someone in the comments will know. They always know what we're talking about when we don't.
And also Joe Rogan for some.
It's not Piers Morgan. It's not. Okay.
Also, Piers Morgan is one of those. He's not scared to say what he wants to say. So my thing is when on the internet or in the news,
Alex Jones.
Oh,
the conspiracy theorist and all-round nutcase who now owes people because he made up. He said that school shooting was orchestrated by the government as like a psyop. And he was sued for that by the parents of the kids who died in the school shooting. And now he owes them millions. Like he's in big trouble with that.
Yeah.
That guy.
So when you hear guys like that speak and you look at the following that they have, you have to admit that at some point these people are identifying with so many other people.
Right. There's a market.
It's the same way how the Taliban or other people are converting people so far away from them. But now other people are expressing their views. But then when I go on the internet and I go on Twitter, I see a lot of women who are against a lot of men. So if a guy says something, they're quick to say this and that. I don't need a man. Why is a man telling me this deadbeat baby daddy of mine? And I'm like, so what is the opposite? If people had the balls to step off social media and open a blog or open a podcast and say what they want to say with their chest, with their faces on it, risking everything, would they do it? And I think Andrew Tate and all of these people are just representatives of how people really feel inside. And when did we get here where people can't say what they feel inside?
Well, it's always more likely going to be men who say those things because they don't care as much about belonging as women do. That's just an all-round fact. There are less brave women online who will stand alone. They prefer to be part of it. Like women will not protest alone. You know, and this is a thing I was talking about with a friend of mine the other day, is that, you know, if men went on a protest march against, like, I don't know, mean corporate bully women, people would laugh at them. They would mock them and ridicule them and make fun of them for the rest of their lives. But if women got together and did that, it would be perfectly okay in society. We'd look at it as a legitimate protest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So first of all,
it's one of those things that you can't compare. There's no direct opposite. And I really don't want to compare racism to masculinity and feminism. Females were traditionally oppressed.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They're the luckiest of the two sexes. They don't do
not now.
Work. No, always through history. You haven't been in wars.
Never.
No, women didn't have to go to war.
And when women couldn't
this
vote,
oppressed thing is nonsense.
and when women
so look what happened when you started voting.
By their husbands.
Look what happened to the world when you started getting the vote.
Sorry.
No,
I'm back.
It's one of those things where you can't. You can't look. I'm not.
I'm sorry, Leigh-Ann. I'm being part of this.
I'm not one of those women who, thinks that all men should die and women should just rule the earth in peace. I believe that there's a role for everyone. Yeah, there'd be no peace.
There'll be a lot of gossip.
Yeah. But I think
you'd have countries. You'd have countries.
There's no opposites here.
You'd have passive aggressive shit with countries. You're like, oh, I'm not talking to Chile. You know what's wrong. Chile's like, no, I don't know what's wrong. You do know what's wrong. You're just saying you don't know what's wrong. Can you imagine?
Okay, sorry, Leigh-Ann. Continue.
So no, you can't compare it. It's like saying if a white person is mean to a black person, is it racism? If a black person is mean to a white person, is it racism?
Absolutely. Because remember that with that example, we don't have good examples in history of white people being nice to black people. And when you look at, because I'm a big fan of medieval shows, white people were not even nice to each other.
No.
No,
but let's be fair, no one was nice to each other. There's also this nonsense. There's this nonsense story of like, well, before the evil white people landed in like West Africa, all the black people being super nice.
No, the tribes were at it, macheting each other left, right, and center.
Exactly.
For cornrows. But
Jesus.
But here we are.
By the way, we have not gone soft for the first show of the year.
No,
I just want to say we've climbed in hook, line, and sinker.
We finished Leigh-Ann's glass of water.
We've touched
in the
race.
First 45.
We've touched gender. We have Harry and Meghan, Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
that's funny.
A nice one.
Right? Andrew Tate.
Gingerbread
eugenicism. I mean, really, we fat with eating over Christmas.
So, Leigh-Ann, do you really think that women have it hard?
They did.
What? Because they didn't have the vote.
Yes.
No, and they still do. No, they still do. Gareth, we've spoken before about how if I leave.
Okay, but let me clear this. Okay, hang on. No,
I check if someone's following me. You don't.
Why?
Whoa, we'll get into that in a second. But I just want to point out that having the vote, has probably done less for people than they ever thought. Right?
Yes.
We've always, and I know. Listen. I'm fully aware of what 1994 meant in this country to black people who didn't have the vote.
Mm-hmm.
But for women, the first country to give women the vote was New Zealand.
Yes.
And it was after 1900, as I recall, roughly. And there are still countries in the world where women don't have the vote.
Mm.
Like, I don't think in Saudi Arabia they have any say at all. Men
can't even go to school.
No. So obviously this is a thing, but it's a political thing.
Yes.
In terms of life and your general safety, and your general security, it's always been much worse to be a man. Always. Demonstrably, because even though women were obviously victimized horribly throughout history, men didn't even make it to like middle age because they got hacked down by their compatriot men. I mean, it's always been like Eugene said about Europeans, people were killing each other almost entirely from the fall of the Roman Empire in a non-stop war until, I don't know, just after World War II, maybe.
Until after Harry killed 15 Taliban.
Right. I mean, that's even in living memory. So
Harry rails at the 15 Taliban.
we have to be clear about this, because there's like these two very bullshit sanitized versions of history which are being sold. The one is complete nonsense, that like women were completely oppressed and they were just raped and victimized and murdered throughout history, and men were just these oppressive patriarchs. It's nonsense, because you haven't read any books if you say that. And then the other version is that, somehow history was wonderful because women knew their place. And both of those versions are completely wrong. I had this really interesting discussion it was one of my favorite interviews last year. We actually finished, I think it was the second last one we played out at the end of the year last year. Simon Sebag Montefiore, historian. And he's written this brilliant fat book like this called History of the World. And in it, he looks at stories of families and how men and women have exactly in the same amounts, in equal percentages by contribution, made the world that we live in. It's just that women aren't all rah-rah, murder, blood, war, domination as men are. But they've played as important a role. Without women, there wouldn't be any of those men. They weren't raised by men, and especially through history. Men have had a minimal role in fatherhood was like this much percentage of a tiny 10% of the total of what made up the way kids grew up in those days.
Yes.
Up to very recently.
Because if you were not in the fields, you were on a voyage or you were in a war.
You weren't there.
And who was polishing this armor? Who was making bombs in World War II? Who was making these planes?
And it doesn't mean
it was women.
It was women. So there's an equal contribution here. And both of those kinds of history that I told you about now are just nonsense. And yet we teach it at school like it's a binary.
Yeah.
Like we never teach them the nuanced stuff. And this is why people grow up with this bizarre idea that like one of the genders had it easy and the other one
And you
didn't.
know what, Gareth? If you're going to be driving a G-Wagon in Bryanston and you're 26 and you're female and someone pays for it, well, you have no right to lecture me about how crazy it is being a woman and how deprived you are. There is no man who's driving a 2 million rand car that's paid for by a woman.
No way.
Show me one guy.
And if there is, he is like Prince Harry.
Yes, at a Louis Vuitton store right now, shopping on Instagram, at the gym, getting their BBL.
There may be gay guys like that.
Yes, but
now that I think about it,
are you measuring the fact that they've made it by the fact that they are driving a car that
I'm not saying they made it. I'm saying that the
someone
fact that
is paying for them.
They are a woman, and remember that if you're a woman, there's someone who's going to take care of you.
Right.
Men have in their brains being programmed to want to protect. Like if there's a robbery at my house and I press my ADT button, a man is going to come. If a woman shows up, I'm worried already. But if I'm walking down the road and I see a woman coming my way, I'm relaxed. But if I see a man coming, I'm already scared. So I'm like, in the general world of things, white people, when they see a male, a black male, your scared radar goes. In my head, when I see a male, I'm relaxed. When I see a woman, I'm relaxed. It's only when danger approaches me that I think, oh, shit, something is going wrong here. So we always have to be clear about this, where we go, men are far from being taken care of by women. It will never, not anytime soon, will a woman who's doing very well look after a man. Because also with cancel culture as well, Gareth, who's leading it?
But looking after men has different definitions. Women are looking after men.
Let me just show you this quickly, because this is the saddest comment I've ever seen from Jean, who's just shame. Jean just wants you. We love you too, Jean. He says, nobody's ever had to clean or cook for me. Yeah. Never, ever at all. In every house so far, I cook and bake and clean, and I enjoy it all.
Yeah. Have a good time, Jean. Yeah. But
you go, bro.
But I'm still waiting for the day where I can see proof of how hard women are having it. I'm talking hard here. Huh? I'm talking like,
listen, I think in South Africa, you could always people will find examples, and we do have a lot of them, and they make up a very large proportion of the population, where there are these whole families that are supported by one grandmother.
Yes.
You know, and she's done everything.
Yes.
And we know that, but that does not make the rule.
Yes.
The rule is not made by the exceptions. The exceptions prove the rule.
Yes.
Because they're exceptions.
But it doesn't make the rule.
Right. So, I mean, we're getting lost in the reeds here, but we're never going to answer this question in this one show, by the way.
Leigh-Ann was very close to it.
Well, listen, the question was, and let's go back to the question, what is the female version of toxic masculinity? What can we call that?
Yes. Is there hyperfemininity? Is hyperfemininity toxic masculinity version for women?
And remember,
an evil, froth-mouthed bitch.
That's too many words. We need to It needs to be a term we can say. We know what she's talking about now. And remember, you can be guilty of toxic masculinity, but you might not be a toxic male.
Yes.
Do you understand? Like, you could be a perfectly decent guy, but you are sometimes a toxic masculine. You know, you sometimes behave like that. You say things that might be regarded as toxic masculinity to some people. So in other words, it's not a descriptor. It's not like saying, you are always stupid. You're just stupid on these things. You know what I mean? So the same is true here so let's not get all touchy about this, which is another thing. I was listening to a brilliant podcast the other day. And I had this sudden like aha moment. I listened to a lot of them over the holidays, different ones. This woman was telling the most beautiful story. And then she kept saying, I feel. And I was like, hang on, you just lost me. Because she was talking about a story from history about this queen of Sweden called Christina, who may or may not have been a lesbian. But suddenly she's injecting her feelings into the story. And I'm like, that's something a man would never say. And suddenly I found myself like not as big a fan of the podcast as I was before she said those words.
She wasn't sticking to the fact. She was inserting her
not that I didn't want her opinions, but the fact that she used the word I feel, right? And you got to listen to what you say, because people do this all the time. I had a very cool discussion with a girl who a friend of mine brought to a party in Cape Town. And we were just, it was a very fun, friendly discussion. There was nothing aggressive about it at all. But her eyebrows kept being raised every time we brought up any of these things that we've talked about now, right?
Any of this. To see this.
Any of this. And I noticed like little subtle body language things, which folding her arms suddenly and like raising her eyebrows. And I listened to her then because I was being the observer, right? So I didn't say anything for about, 15 minutes. Just listened to her talk and listened to the other people in the group talk. And I noticed that she used this I feel thing the whole time. And at the end of this 15 minutes, I said to her, if you recorded this and you went back and you actually played it back to yourself and said, these are the things that every single sentence was an I feel rather than I think, or this is my opinion, or what about, or it was me, I feel, me, I feel. All of her sentences were constructed that way. I thought, well, what a giveaway. You know, you got to listen to people.
You know what's crazy about what you say? People even borrow people's thoughts by saying, I feel. Seldom do you hear women talking and saying, I heard someone else saying.
Never.
They'll always say, I feel what. Then you're like, whoa, that's a borrowed thought. We have the internet now. I've heard this thought before. It's not originally yours.
Right.
And I always think, when you think of the atrocities of the world, women have to take responsibility for being accomplices as well. Because even if you look at medieval times, where have you ever seen women stopping men from going to war?
Well, they're probably examples, but those women might not have had much influence. Or we don't. Well, they would have, because we know women have had influence on men more than any other thing. The whole reason men become men is to get the women that they want to breed with.
When you look at the visuals of New York, Times Square after World War II, who were there to celebrate the men that had come back from the war? Yeah. Vietnam was the same thing. Yeah. If you look at those people, even in World War II, who were people making the bombs?
Even now.
I'm saying, so we know Oppenheimer for making the
atomic bomb.
But who was assembling these things in these plants? Weren't they women who were working in these these plants?
Probably a lot of women, yeah.
But I'm saying, where are they in the history of maiming each other?
If we're going to pull anything out of this, it is.
Women have been there spurring men on. Are you going to leave him to talk to me like that? Are you going to just let him cut in front of us like that? I don't feel safe when I'm jogging by myself. Come with me. It's at night. Go check what's going on. I'm like, since the beginning of time, you've been giving us goodbye kisses to go kill other people, to go conquer other villages. Women have been there, shining our armors, tuning our planes, guiding our missiles. You've been our accomplices in all the atrocities that men have taken part in.
So what do we call it? I'm still stuck here. We need to come up with a term.
Toxic femininity. Who are we trying to impress, Gareth, when we start fights in bars? Yeah, who are we trying to impress? Men have never fought by themselves.
No, they're trying to impress a woman.
Yeah, men have never. When we see a woman stuck on the side of the road, we stop. We see another man, do we stop? But who's spurring us on? This is my thing. Who's telling us, get him?
By the way, Khoza says something interesting.
That's my other name, by the way.
Khoza says, is that your other name?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It means joy.
Khoza says, woke culture does not exist in KZN. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It is a true fact.
Right?
I've currently just wrapped doing a show called I'm With Your Ex. And it's a show. It's
good morals,
It's a show where people confront their exes and tell them that they're with someone that they know personally, either a sibling or a best friend or a cousin.
That's
right.
Awesome.
And then you look at these kind of shows, and then you look at Uthando Nestembu, the one Mselegu show where he has many wives, and then you realize that the culture in the KZN is totally way different. It's way different than what we in Gauteng here have made up as a subculture, and we think we represent the whole entire world.
Yeah, we don't.
4 ways in Bryanston. Their opinions on the internet with their rain fiber, they think they represent the world, but you're like, you don't.
You're so right.
You don't. There's a whole, there's Polokwane, there's and Northwest.
I always say to people, there's 4-5 million people, maybe it's 6 now after the last count, that are actually on Twitter and active.
Yes.
They do. That's less people than voted, I think, even for the DA.
And there's more women than men statistically, right?
Yeah.
So who are these women speaking in behalf of?
Those are the toxic feminists.
Yes. Too much internet. And charge batteries and power banks. That's what the problem is.
And like Mike Tyson used to say, when he beat that guy up on the plane, he's like, this is not Twitter.
I'm real here.
If you get on the internet and you start like, it's easy to do that if you're anonymous on Twitter. It's not so easy to do that if you are in real proximity to someone. People are not going to tolerate that, men or women. So everybody's much more polite to each other in person. But we have to pause things there because it's already 2 minutes after 7. We got to come back with a whole lot more. We've got plenty to talk about. We still haven't even touched sides on some of these things. It's also a brand new year. We've got to look at what we want to get done this year, what our predictions might be for the year, because we always get these wrong. So at least I want to get them off my chest.
But you got the Meghan and Harry, right?
I did get that one.
Nice one.
No, but we'll reflect. We'll see which ones we got right and which ones we got wrong as well. Lots of other good stuff still to come. We'll pick our favorites for 2023. Have to check that because now people are going to be writing 2022 on things. Nobody really writes except me anymore, but I still do.
Even if you have to type it, it's still a problem.
I know. Yeah. So we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Stick around, cliffcentral.com. It is Monday, the 9th of January. All right, we are back. We are live. It is Monday. It's the first Monday of the year. Wow. Eugene and I just took a big, deep breath.
Yeah.
Eugene Khoza's with us. Leigh-Ann Moll's with us. She's just in the bathroom at the moment taking an enormous shit, but she'll be with us in just a second. And we have touched every buzzword, every hot spot you could possibly wish for. It's a hell of a way to start the morning. How was your poo, Leigh-Ann? Was it very good?
Very satisfying.
I had excellent.
It's always best when you sit in front of a lot of toilet rolls. Then you can relax.
Really?
Isn't it the worst thing when you are on the loo and you realize too late that the toilet roll is not going to be sufficient?
Very, very bad.
The worst.
Your imagination runs wild.
Because then you do that little walk or that little run to where you store the toilet paper and you just hope no one sees you. You know which one I'm talking about. You know the walk. Anyway, we're not going to go lavatorial in the first 5 seconds of the second hour of the show. So, all right, we've covered a lot of ground this morning, and it's only the first show. So I've got to say up front that we're planning a lot of different things this year. There's going to be quite a bit of change. We also have some exciting announcements in terms of what's going to be happening with Cliff Central, and Eugene and I are planning some very cool things, which I can't tell you too much about now, but those are going to take off in the next month or two.
Absolutely.
It's going to be big, and we're going to want you to be there in person. So that's all I'm going to say for now.
Please, Leigh-Ann, we need you.
Yes.
I would love to.
We need you.
Your country needs you.
Your country, Uncle Sam needs you.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, we got it. There have been a couple of sort of disasters. I saw there were some shack fires in Cape Town, and these things happen all the time because obviously people don't have a lot of space. They build right next door to each other. So someone leaves something on the stove, and then it catches fire the next place, and before you know it, like 40 families don't have houses. And apparently you had some kind of incident. A friend of mine was telling me his girlfriend has set fire to the house twice. Like he walked into the kitchen once and she had left a pot on the stove and the whole kitchen roof is now black. They had to replace the whole kitchen roof. And then she did it again another time. It could happen to anybody, so don't point fingers.
So it wasn't arson, they were mistakes, right?
No, they were mistakes. She didn't want to kill him. But this happens. Now, you asked the question, what things would you take out of the house if you knew there was a house fire? But I mean, this is something that we've spoken about before. What happened to you that you suddenly had to think about this?
It was quite soon after those horrific thunderstorms we had. You know, when the hail just comes in a wall and all of a sudden the sound around you changes. And I heard that massive hissing sound, that I was inside and I thought, is that another storm? Opened the door, the front door, and I could see flames.
Jeez. Whoa. What happened?
Yeah, I could, and the I was hearing was like, you know, when bush is burning and it hisses. And where I live, I'm pretty much covered in a lot of old gardens, so big trees and lots
you live in the Shire?
Yeah, in the Shire with the hobbits.
Yeah, and I came out of my hut and
barefoot and pregnant. Carry on.
I was busy making some
churning butter.
Oh, remind me, I got to talk to you about putu.
Okay,
because that came up as well. Yeah.
And there's one of those, I never know what they are. They're all banana trees to me, but one of those spiky trees, and it's a light. And those spiky fronds lean onto my veranda roof.
Oof.
So I knew immediately that this was an emergency and that I needed to act fast. I knew that there wasn't even time to call the fire brigade. I knew the first thing that came into my mind were my cats. I just needed to get them out. But to get to the cat cages, I had to go to a zozo, which was I had to run underneath this burning bush. So I ran underneath the flames.
Imagine Leigh-Ann.
Yay. All of this for the cats.
Open up the zozo. I'm now fighting through spider webs, which I would never have usually done, but I was in emergency mode.
Flames.
Yeah, and I managed to get
hold on.
3 carriers.
What created the fire? Was it lightning?
There was no storm. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. I just was in emergency mode.
It's witchcraft. What you suffered was called ivuta.
Yeah. Someone put muti
on
door.
you.
Yeah.
It's usually put for mistresses, people
and
who are derailing people's families. It's called ivuta.
Leigh-Ann.
I was even standing there and I was shouting, hello.
Such a white thing to do.
Leigh-Ann, didn't you tell me a story like last year about the neighbors? Something caught fire there as well. And
so yes, this is the thing.
Yeah.
So I finally
you live close to a macro.
Yeah. So I get the cat boxes inside, and this is now what spurred on my what 3 things would you take, because now I keep the cat boxes inside for emergencies like this.
Oh my God, I'm paranoid.
And
that would not be on my list.
Managed to get 2 cats in, but the last cat box is this small, and I'm left with the biggest cat. I was honestly thinking I was going to have to break limbs to get this thing inside.
Oh my!
You were going to go that far, Leigh-Ann?
Why didn't it occur to you to just get the hose pipe?
Yes.
And try to put out whatever fire was going to ensue.
Or call a man.
Or call the fire brigade.
Well, I was helloing, because this happened within like 45 seconds, you must know.
All right. Okay, and we're not, like, hindsight is 20/20. So what happened?
And I mean, I have 2 fire extinguishers in my house. I didn't once think of using them. It's amazing how stupid you are when there's like an emergency.
Definitely.
But managed to go outside, and it was a gas canister that had exploded. And
that's the hissing sound you were hearing.
That was the hissing sound. The pipe had come out from behind and was fueling these flames.
No.
So
was
it
it your gas canister?
It was on my property. So yeah, and
you were the arsonist.
I like that it was on my property, not that the canister was mine.
No,
she lives on a property.
It was my landlord. Yeah, it was the landlord's gas canister, and he was cooking at the time. But now I see that the gas canister has been moved. Yes, he was eventually there. He was like, "Oh my God," not very apologetic, but just very shocked.
But okay, but I mean, if he wasn't there, you would have had a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was getting into my car to drive out of the driveway and get to safety, and then make the phone
So you
call.
would have let the house burn, and as long as you and the cats were out, everything would be fine.
Listen, when you're renting here, it's a totally different mindset.
I love that. No fucks given. I will give him a faki.
Right.
So how did this man rescue the situation? What did he do?
By turning off the gas, he managed the fuel stopped.
The flame died.
Because we'd had so many storms, the garden is so green that the fire just couldn't go any further. It fizzled, it like retracted and fizzled out.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. Almost like one of those stories you'd see reenacted on that those shows with, and Leigh-Ann grabbed her cats and went straight to the car. The house continued to burn for 7 days.
Her and her cats were safe.
Yeah. Wow. Okay,
so,
well,
Leigh-Ann, you risked life and limb for cats?
For cat boxes.
Not for cat boxes.
Because she could have, I mean, you could have just grabbed the cats and put them in the back of your car in an emergency.
No, you can't do that with cats. They'll claw you to death. You can't carry them like a dog. They
can't?
No.
Listen,
most
you got to
cats
get that cat. You got to get that cat in order. You got to say to the cat, "Listen, motherfucker, it's you or the
follow me."
Yeah, right. You know what they say about herding? And if the cat won't cooperate, then it's made a decision. Right? It's made its own decision.
You're not. Are you coming or you're not? Are you not?
Yeah, exactly.
I've never laughed this hard so early.
But isn't it okay? Look, I know you love your cats, and I'm not making light of that. And you made your decisions in an emergency, which is something nobody wants to be in that situation, because obviously, you instinct drives you. You don't think none of us really, with a very very small exception of people who are trained in this stuff, would think logically in that situation. So, I get it, but I don't know. I would not be. I've got one dog. I wouldn't want the dog to die. But there are things in my house that if I had to think about objects or whatever, would be very hard to choose, hey?
Really?
It'd be very hard to choose.
Yeah, you've got a lot of historical.
I don't
things.
I don't have like a safe with cash in it. That would be the obvious first thing to go for. In any case, your safe.
Luckily, safes are fireproof.
A safe would be fireproof, so you probably wouldn't want to prioritize that. I'm trying to think. Would I try to rescue photograph? Probably a laptop, because I think my laptop is essential.
Laptop, phone, and charger. Get out.
Yeah, that's probably, if you think about it now, while the emergency is not going on, that's the sensible thing to do. Is you should really make a list in your head so you're ready for this kind of situation.
And besides, I mean, laptop and phone aren't that important because everything lives on the cloud.
On the cloud,
Your one of those disappear or stolen. We know that it's a bit of an inconvenience, but you can power up a new device.
The meat in the freezer. What are you gonna? I mean, I know what I wouldn't take. I would not rescue TVs or any of that shit. Furniture, you know, that stuff is not a priority.
You know, the more we talk about this topic, we realize we just need our phones. Because we need to call someone and we need to get somewhere. Yeah. We need to pay for something. All of it is here.
I know.
So I just need my phone. And also the sentimentality of things. And come on, guys. You know, when you're in a hotel, that's the only time, if you're in a prolonged stay in a hotel, that's when you realize how little you need your stuff.
Yeah.
Because in a hotel room, your bathroom is over there.
Right.
The teapot and boiling kettle is over here.
You did that sabbatical where you went off to this coast. You went to a house and you hired the house and you stayed there on your own. And you didn't need anything except your phone.
Yeah. And that's when I realized that people can do this thing. We just think that we can't. So the satisfaction that comes with looking at our stuff is the weirdest thing ever. We look at our picture frames as if that's the only picture frame ever made. Right. We look at our thing. We know the thing is there. We also enjoy walking down passages. Oh, I'm in the other room and I'm just going to walk to the other room and make the thing and disappear from that room and not see it again. We're just so obsessed with it. But if you have your phone, you are fine anywhere in the world. You know, when I travel, I even hardly carry my wallet.
Yeah, I'm like, now I use
everything
Apple Pay for everything.
Everything is here. I can get somewhere. I can eat. I can pay. I can sleep. I can book a flight. I can get out of Dodge with all of this.
Right.
So now
you can generate an income just using your phone.
Yes, we now have to start teaching people that their lives are more important. Because I've often heard these stories of people running back into houses for things, or even in hijacking situations where I was hijacked, and the last thing that I wanted to do was save the car. You know, so I was like, I've ran this scenario in my mind so many times, but only when it happened did I realize how a lot of people die is when you put up this struggle for a thing that can be replaced.
A thing.
An object.
Material
Come
object.
on. You know, my estate agent once said to me, you know what, Eugene? If you think a house is going to be forever, you're lying to yourself. If that was the fact, all of these houses would not be for sale.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. And estate agents wouldn't have a job.
But people are like that about relationships too.
Oh, man.
While they're in that relationship, it's the most important thing in their world. They break up a month later. They don't even think about that person.
Yes.
A month before, they were thinking about that person 24/7. If that person was having a bad day, they were having a bad day.
Yes.
If they had an argument, it ruined their whole work day. Everything is dependent on that. And as soon as you're out of it, you're like, I didn't think about that person at all today. And if you're not in the same house that you've always been in, you thought was your house, this is where I live, this is my place, it doesn't take you long, as you say, in a hotel room to realize you don't need any of this shit, right?
So we have to teach. I would have hated to have read a story about Leigh-Ann passing away in a fire, trying to save something.
I would have hated that.
Whether it's a cat or
we had to find someone else to do the show with us this morning. It would have been a disaster.
We have to get back into self-preservation mode. And that's where we need to be. So, Leigh-Ann, I'm glad you're safe and you're alive and your landlord switched off the gas.
Happy New Year, Ass. I'm glad you made it through.
Glad to be here. But it's so true. I mean, when I've moved a number of times, and one of the boxes went missing during the move, and it had one important thing in it. It was a retainer for my teeth, and those, I mean, you can't just go and buy another one. You've got to have it made or whatever. So I was quite upset about it. But it was that one thing in a huge box. Do you know that I didn't have any idea what else was in that box, and I still to this day don't.
Stuff.
And I've never missed it.
People in their stuff. Yeah. Listen, I'm a lot. I think I'm the person that Eugene was describing about, like, being attached to all of I like my space. I like my house. I like my things around me. Like my comforts. I got to get out of that. Maybe this is the year to do it.
Yeah, I used to be like that.
How did you break the habit?
I just told myself I have to. And it also started with clothing. Clothing is the biggest trap because if you go into my closet, you'll be shocked at how much stuff is there with labels and tags. But in rotation, I only think I have 5 t-shirts and then 2 pairs of jeans and shorts. But that's me. Wow. And shoes as well. But I started realizing I had a problem. Why am I holding on? It was more of an emotional thing than a physical thing, because I always say to people, growing up poor will do a number on you. You will always think you are in the verge of losing something. Yeah. So you start becoming an emotional hoarder as well. So that fear of this thing is gonna go away. We hold on to little contacts, even in our phones. Oh, I still have the CEO of Nedbank here, or Old Mutual. Oh, this guy. Oh, he's gonna come in handy one day. Why? Why am I ignoring Gareth, who's right here, for someone who's somewhere in the ether that one day perhaps I might need to, use? And
Gareth can't help you with anything. Don't be stupid.
He deletes all my nudes that I send him. So
exactly. Listen, I do love this. Ginger Winger says, which is hilarious. I love the picture as well. Picture Harry. While having my coffee this morning, I paused to think how lucky I am that I'm not Andre de Ruyter and I don't have to question my coffee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That came out this week.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That Andre de Ruyter, while he was running Eskom, which is already the shittiest job in the world.
Yeah.
And even if they paid him, I don't know, 10 million rand a year, it's still not worth it. I wouldn't take that job.
I saw that one interview when his wife was saying, he told this guy, he was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, this job has changed this guy.
Horrible.
And I think when people say he's unpatriotic, I think that's the biggest lie of them all. That man is patriotic because he took that job when no one would. And now he risked his life, and all we can say is,
people were putting cyanide in his coffee.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I hate Eskom, right? I really hate Eskom. I drive past Megawatt Park sometimes.
Just to hoot and throw tomatoes.
And I go, even though no one can see me, there's no one at the gate. I hate Eskom, right? Yeah. We all do. We all think it's the most corrupt, stupid, and incompetent business that ever existed. It really is. All of those things.
Yeah.
But to actually want to murder someone with cyanide in their coffee.
Yep.
And to go after a man's coffee is just so wrong.
Serving him coffee for God's sake. That's when he knew this thing is poison.
I mean, the coffee at Eskom is already bad,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
bad.
we can't.
So we got a couple of stories in the news. I mean, that Andre de Ruyter one is, that's scary.
That's scary,
yeah. Apparently, there was another tanker and another bridge story. Now, that one is ongoing, and I mean, we finished the show before all of that happened, but I can't believe that they're not going to hold this guy responsible who was driving the truck.
I can believe.
You can believe
it. Yeah, he followed a lot of protocol. We didn't realize behind the story.
So you follow protocol, but then you also use your brains.
He did that too.
He did, though. He tried his best.
Yes.
He risked his own life by pushing the crowds back.
Yes, he passed out.
No, I'm saying before he should have seen. I mean, if I were driving a truck, I sometimes drive in a normal car on some roads, and I go, can't be on this road. This road's dangerous. This is not a good place.
Is it leading to Tembisa?
No, it's got holes in the road. Like there was a road in, was it in KZN? Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga, and I was driving this car, and I thought, no, this car doesn't belong to me. I should not be doing this. Turned around, took another road. I did
really
that as a person. I get it.
I don't want to be in a car with you.
Swear to God, it was not a good road. I was driving Phil's car from David Motors. I'm not going to fuck up his car, and this road was not for a normal car. This was not even for a 4-wheel drive car.
And you made a U-turn.
I turned around
to go find another road.
I found another route.
Who does that, Gareth?
Well, this is what, especially if you're driving a tanker full of something flammable, that you should be applying your mind to. I'm not going to give him a free pass.
But Gareth, he got off the truck. He surveyed the bridge, and there was no signage that the bridge's height. So
I understand he followed the rules.
Yes.
I understand that he's not technically responsible.
Okay, sharp.
I get that.
Right,
I don't want him to go to jail.
Okay, sharp.
But I'm like, how do we stop this thing from happening in the future? How are we going to fix this stuff? Because it isn't just complying with the rules. A lot of people like to comply with the rules.
There are two issues here. There is increased incompetence on South Africa's roads, and
Absolutely.
that has a lot to do with corruption and buying of licenses. And the second thing is our roads and infrastructure are declining in their nature. There was no sign. The road could have dipped at the end, and that's exactly what happened. As the road came out at the end, it pushed the truck at a different angle. So even the height was okay. It was the angle of the declining road. So there are two things there. But yes, there are more and more incompetent drivers on the road.
But also, Leigh-Ann, if I think now, since load shedding and potholes have been part of our daily lives, that has also changed the way people drive.
And
the ducking and the stopping and the not stopping.
The fact that there's so many trucks on the roads is also one of the reasons the potholes are so bad, because Transnet isn't able, and our rail infrastructure is so bad that we used to send stuff by freight that should be on trains.
And the demand for gas, household gas,
because of Eskom.
In the suburbs.
Right. So all of this is because people haven't been doing their jobs across the board. So again, like, I know that this guy's, I don't want him to go to jail.
What do you want, Gareth?
I want responsibility. I want accountability from individuals. If you're driving on a road and you think that this road is probably not good for your car, then instead of making it someone else's problem down the line, turn around and find another route. Like, take personal responsibility for everything.
I hear that.
And that if someone at Eskom did that 20 years ago, we wouldn't have this problem now.
In the words of the great Ace Makashule at the Sasso Garage, it's only a matter of 5 years, comrade.
Exactly. I'm telling you. And by the way, the fire department and the cops were on the scene for like half an hour before the explosion.
Yes, and apparently the truck driver had to properly cordon off the people from the truck better than the fire department did.
Well, no one listens, because also this did happen in Boksburg, and I'm not going to be mean to Boksburg here, but they deserve, like, they're gathering around looking, because nothing fucking happens in Boksburg. Yeah, what's going on there? Let's have a look. East Rand.
6:30 in the morning, so many people out there to go watch.
Guys,
hey, Boksburg is special.
Listen, these are the same. I'm not saying anyone deserves to die. Don't get me wrong here. I think it's awful what happened. It is a tragedy in every way. But the same people who stop when there's a road accident, they can't help. They're not helpful. They just want to look. They want to see what's going on. They want to see a dead body. That's what they want to see.
Don't you want to see a dead body?
No, go to the morgue if you want to see. There are lots of dead bodies every day. Plenty.
I once saw a dead body on my way to school when I was in grade 7.
Did it traumatize you?
No. I had a math test, so that was traumatizing. I was like, I've got bigger issues. I was like, lucky you, buddy. I was like, you don't have to deal with Miss Mazibugo. Hey.
Oh, Snaye brings up something really interesting here about your whole thing about how we just need our phones. But Snaye says that applies to photos. We take so many photos, chances are we'll never look at them again.
Yeah.
The sad part is we miss out on the moment because we want to take photos that we'll forget about. Oh, this is so irritating.
You know who enjoys our photos more than us? The Pakistani phone repairman.
Yes. He's like, let's see those nudes that Eugene's always sending. I went to a wedding in the last few days of December where we were all asked very nicely by the bride and groom not to take any pictures.
Oh, what?
No social media.
Why?
Because you want to reserve
for various reasons. They had a photographer. They had a drone taking some pictures. It was also these were smart people. They people who are not looking for publicity.
Are they famous?
Not famous, very wealthy.
Oh yeah, that's a shortcut.
So they don't want any publicity.
You don't want someone's shitty photograph to be the first photograph of your dress that goes on.
Especially when you're rich.
Yeah.
I will tell you this: it was, even if it wasn't like as much money spent as maybe some weddings, it was the most beautiful wedding. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I did not pick up my phone once.
Not once.
I did not take a picture. Other people, there were some people who did take pictures, but nobody posted anything on social media. You will see nothing about this wedding anywhere.
Except for the Pakistani repairman.
Maybe he will. But I thought, what a great experience. And more and more, as I go to these kind of exclusive events and you end up going to a birthday party or someone's having a wedding or something, I'm seeing a lot more of these people who really, they could be the ones making a big noise on social media. Look at my life and how great it is and all. They're saying, please, no photos and no social media. And I think that's going to become a thing. That's one of my predictions for the year, is that ordinary people in their private moments with their friends and family, girlfriend, their lover, whoever it might be, less phone. Because I think we're starting to realize, like what Snai said here in this comment, in that moment, you're actually missing out on taking it in because you're so busy trying to get that perfect selfie or that picture of something, that view that no one's ever going to look at again. You might, if it's the best photo ever, put it in your wallpaper of your phone. And that's the best chance it has of ever being immortal. But otherwise, why bother?
I think in relationships, you can't ban phones. I think...
Don't say ban.
Yeah, and I'm saying
like
less. I think we also maybe must conduct a study and see how many relationships having a phone has saved. Because I think if I had to look at someone in their face forever that I live with or stay with or date, hey, my man, Instagram has saved her, eh? Because sometimes when I'm there on the Instagram, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
1 more minute with you. If it wasn't for my explore, you would have been gone.
No, I know what you mean.
So we need that little window outside to look outside. But I get what you're saying. It must not intrude on people's personal spaces. I think we must start asking for consent, maybe, when you want to take photographs of people's special moments.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, consent.
You should be.
Yes.
I think that's right.
It's like watching a concert or a big event through your screen. You might as well be at home watching it on a TV because you're watching it through a screen instead of just experiencing it. But I wanted to bring up something about weddings and social media. I saw quite a cute story that a South African woman happened to look at an Instagram of a wedding dress that was worn by an American woman at her wedding. And the South African woman fell in love with it. She's in Joburg. And she, wanted to find out if she could buy the dress here. This happened just recently, like I think the end of last year. So she made contact with her and said, who's the designer, was told, and we're unable to have that dress shipped here at all. So she said, do you think I could buy it from you perhaps? And this woman was like, but I kind of want to keep it. So she actually, to a complete stranger, said, you know what, you can borrow it. And packed it up in a box, sent it to the UK where the bride's mom was. The bride's mom flew it to Joburg. And this woman tried it on and it was the perfect fit. She didn't have to do any alterations.
Wow.
Perfect fit. Dream dress, perfect fit. Absolutely stunning. And so she decided to invite the American couple over to the wedding, which she did. She sent over a wedding invitation. And the American couple decided to take her up on it. So they went to Cape Town for a week before. They'd never, ever thought of coming to South Africa, which was quite amazing. And she, in her videos, she says, Cape Town's like the most beautiful place that I've ever been to. And then they made their way to Joburg. They were completely accepted by the family. They went to all of the family dinners. They went to the bachelorette party, the bachelor party.
This is beautiful.
Beautiful story.
It's such a lovely story. Just all of the shooting, clay pigeon shooting, were absolutely wrapped up in the family. Went to the wedding, and I just thought it was a really nice story to come out of social media, where social media can usually be so horrible. So to give you
that's
the details, they've called it the sisterhood of the traveling wedding dress. But it's Simone Huisen from Joburg. She was the one who got to wear the dress, and the woman in America, Emily Heath. And they'll probably be friends forever. I just thought it was so cool.
But doesn't that speak to what we were saying about attachment to things? And this wedding dress could have easily just stayed in that closet, covered up, and
no one will ever wear it again.
Yeah.
Right.
So here we are, and we see what generosity and hoarding. It doesn't go.
Well, you've made me want to go home and throw out a whole lot of shit. I mean, I felt sorry for myself for a day or two. Because I thought I haven't really spent any money on myself. I haven't really bought anything. I haven't refreshed my wardrobe or any of that shit for years. And I thought, I'll just carry on wearing the same. I'm going to go and throw some shit out. And no, not throw it away, but give it away, charity or whatever. And I want to do that just to simplify my life.
Yes.
I still got my wedding dress in a box.
What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it?
There's actually, I've thought about it. There's a very cool program in South Africa where you can donate your wedding dress and it'll be used for women who will never in their lives be able to afford a wedding dress.
Oh, that's amazing.
Or matric dance dresses as well.
That's nice.
Yeah,
do that.
Yeah, so that might be quite cool. I think so.
Because you're not even married anymore to that guy, so just get rid of it.
No, definitely not.
So you kept the wedding dress, but not the wedding ring?
Yeah.
I kept the ring too.
Damn right. No, you don't give that away. Please, but it is ridiculous.
The story reminds me of one of my things that when I was still car obsessed. One of my favorite things to do was borrow people my cars.
You would let them drive your.
Anyway, it gave me such great satisfaction because I knew that I wouldn't drive the car forever.
Mm-hmm.
But then the days that I'm not driving it for a week and I'm not in town,
let someone
and
else.
I can't drive two cars at the same time. It was my favorite thing to do. I kid you not. And I don't regret it one bit because those cars are gone now. But I know there's someone who would have never could afford that car. And they would take their girlfriends or they would take their wives. They would go.
That's nice.
They would love the experience.
Yeah.
But I look at things and I'm when I take a daily walk and I go and I walk past Stain City and I look at how much people have in excess as opposed to just a thin wall that separates the other people at Oliver Deep Sloot. And I'm like, when did we get here? You have a 6 million rand car that you only drive on Sundays? Are we there? Is this who we are? But we can judge those super wealthy people. But in our little world here, we've got houses with 4 bedrooms and nothing in it but other beds and clothes and just a little thing for us to watch.
You're so right.
The wedding dress is just a small example. It's a tip of the iceberg of how selfish and how self-centered we've become. And you know what my biggest fear was? I never wanted to lie in my deathbed and look at my stuff and go, what am I going to do with all of this?
That's something to think about. That is also, the first hour of the show this morning was all like all the controversy we could pour into an hour without us planning to do that. And it feels to me like the second one is a little bit more of a spiritual kind of what do we want from 2023 vibe. And I'm getting this simplicity thing, which I think we tried, especially COVID helped people to get rid of things.
But we slowly slip back into those bad habits, right?
I don't know.
We stopped calling each other. We stopped video calling each other. We stopped using Zoom more. Zoom brought people who were already close, even closer, because now they were seeing each other. But now we've gotten back, Gareth, to ignoring people's phone calls again and not feeling like going for that drive and going to that meeting. And we forgot what happened to us.
No, you're absolutely right.
We are very quickly forgetting. I mean, I would have killed to drive to a studio and sit with you like this 2 years ago. Killed.
But we're doing it now, and we're going to be doing it more.
So when an opportunity comes, I don't hesitate. If I have to be somewhere, I go, because I could have easily not been here.
Congo Chris says,
Congo Chris, I love this guy.
I quit smoking. Anyone else have a resolution? Well, can I tell you what I did for the last week? Yeah. I got back from New Year on Tuesday last week.
From KZN?
Yeah. I got back in fact, it was Monday. It was Monday last week. So I've been home a week. I have not seen anyone but family.
No.
And I did not leave my house except to go to the shops. It might as well have been COVID.
No.
I promise you, I had big plans for this week. I was going to see these friends. I was going to go out here. I was going to do that. I did nothing. And I've often said I do nothing over a weekend, but I've, gone and seen some friends or had a drink with these people or, popped in here. This week, nothing. It's the longest period that I can remember since probably when COVID started that I have not had anyone around me for 7 whole days.
Except for family, people that
family.
Immediate family.
Yeah, so I saw my sister and her boyfriend, and I saw my parents. My brother and his kids are away, so they weren't even around. So it was literally, I saw 4 other people only during the course of this whole week. And I was doing all kinds of fun things that I like doing, designing buildings and stuff on my computer. I was like doing a little bit of drawing and painting, and I wrote down some ideas and did some of that stuff.
That's awesome. I like
that.
And that's a nice way to end off your holiday, actually.
I liked it. I must tell you, I didn't want to go anywhere. I was invited to a thing in Cape Town this past weekend, which I could have gone to. And I decided not to, even though I really love the people who I would have seen there. And I know it would have been fun. I had no FOMO. Now I've got it out of my system too. So now I can hit the road running. I'm ready to see people,
makes sense.
Ready to have meetings and conversations and take things in a new direction. I'm ready for the year because I didn't have that carte blanche syndrome.
It's very balancing and
you're calibrating. That's what.
I think that's what it is. I think that's it. I think that's what it is. I don't feel like I want more holiday.
No.
Which I've always felt at the end of most holidays. I was like, come on, a few days more. There's no resentment and bitterness about the holiday ending.
Jeez.
And it's because I took this serious slow down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do nothing, and then I'm gonna approach the year with all the energy on Monday. So I tried to go to sleep early last night and all that kind of thing. Woke up this morning at about 20 minutes earlier than I normally would have. Had a little coffee. Made sure I was civilized about the day. I wasn't going to rush into it like a maniac. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to see how long I can keep it up for.
No, look, what you did was calibrating. Have you ever had friends who have normal jobs and then when it's raining and dark and stormy on a normal work day, they go, I wish I was in bed doing nothing. But that's what they're craving. But they just don't know that it's possible. And as humans, we don't do that enough. And this is perfect. I do it all the time. I just get out there and see what people are doing and go for a walk or go for a jog or go sit at the park.
I did go to gym. I go to gym twice, which I said I said I was going to start this week. I didn't say I was going to start every day, and I'm not intending on going on every day. I'm not going to be on the cover of Men's Health. I don't want to be out of breath when I go upstairs.
Yes.
And I don't want to look like shit.
Yes.
That's all.
It's a combo.
Right. I just want to be able to put on a t-shirt and not go, that's what you got. You know what I mean? So that's I
love that.
So I make my lists.
Yes.
I've spoken about this before.
And these are resolutions, by the way.
No. I don't want to bore you if you've heard this before on the show. I do these things called my own action lists for the year. So I just put down 3 places I want to go, 3 things I want to do, 3 people I want to meet.
Damn.
And 3 things I want to buy. Those are like just things I want, like the stuff we were talking about. That's so stupid.
I do the same, except I summarize it, and I'm like 3 people who I want to buy, who I'm going to do.
So, I mean, for example, the 3 places I want to see this year, I am hell bent on going with Muzikozwayo to the KZN battlefields. I want to go
where the Battle of Isandlwana happened.
Exactly. I want to go to Isandlwana. I want to go to Rockstrift. I want to go to Mgongondlovu. I want to go to all those places where I've read the history, but I haven't been to these places. And that's right on our doorstep. There's
so you want to walk those?
I want to walk those places. I want to feel those places. That's one of the places I want to go.
That's amazing.
The other 2 are more like overseas trips, holidays. People I want to see, that kind of thing.
Things you want to buy. That's what I'm more
Things I want to buy. So I want to get solar for my house. I know that's so boring, but it's on my list, right? And I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I've been saying, and people in the comments are going to give me shit again because I've been saying it for so long, but it's fucking expensive to do this solar thing. I'm going to do it this year. I have to do it. One of the people I want to meet, I said here, this is such a terrible thing to say, but
please don't say Barack Obama.
No.
Oh, I don't like that, man.
So I've always said I'm really not the relationship kind of guy, but I'm opening myself up this year to the idea that there might be a girl who ticks the boxes.
Hold on. You want to meet?
I don't want to. I'm not going to force this.
Or you're not
opening.
You're opening yourself up to the universe. You're saying,
so
I'm available.
Whoever she may be, is not on the list as I want to meet that girl and be with her. Yes. It's like I'm going to keep an open mind this year because so far it hasn't been a priority at all.
You know what the trick is?
It happens, but I've never really put any effort into it.
You know what the trick is to wanting to manifest that kind of a person is you have to think of what kind of stuff you want to do with them. Because the person exists, but what to do with them. You like,
isn't that,
you know, those
isn't that just like sexual fantasizing?
Leigh-Ann is on a mission here.
Leigh-Ann,
the people she wants to buy and do.
Leigh-Ann, have you seen those people? Have you seen those people at the Land Rover dealership? They know what they're doing with their cars.
Right.
You can never tell a person that owns a Defender, hey manche, where you gonna go? They're like, hey my man, I chose this thing, this bucket of mine. I know what to do with it. So relationships are the same, especially romantic relationships that are fulfilling. You have to know exactly where you see that person fitting in a universe that you haven't lived in.
Right. Because
you can't see them doing what you're doing already. No. It makes no sense.
See, but this requires a change in my life.
Of course.
For me to be not complacent.
Of course.
And not go, this is how I want it to be for the next 10 years. Got it? Right. So yeah, I'm on your page. So that's, I do these lists and I find them quite useful.
Yeah.
And then it's just something I want to do is this is going to sound ridiculous, but I want to learn a superpower. I want to be able to do something I've never been able to do before. Superpower in inverted commas. I don't want to I'm not going to be able to
jump tall,
burn shit with my eyes like Superman or fly or any of that shit. But I mean,
burn Leigh-Ann's cottage,
like an ability I didn't have before. I want to have that ability. It could be something really silly, like I don't know, learn to
speak Mandarin.
Well, yeah, that's very achievable if you put in the effort. And learning another language isn't really on the horizon. But I think it could be something like, you know how you realize what you're really good at and what you're not good at and what you put no effort into. And I'm not going to suddenly, like a superpower in my book does not mean learning to play golf or anything shit like that. Because that's boring.
And pretentious.
That is so boring.
Oh, man,
but,
golfers.
Oh, it's so boring.
What a douchebag of people.
Oh. Anyway, but I mean, maybe it's that I learned to write a song. You know, one song.
I think your wasted superpower is the fact that you have the potential to have a cult.
No, I don't want a cult though.
Oh man, Gareth, you know the fun that would have if you had a cult.
You've seen how those end? They always end in people dead in sleeping bags.
Yeah, but the fun that we'll have before sleeping bags.
But always dead people in sleeping bags, and usually they've
we can have a
swallowed
uniform.
Some poison. Oh,
we can have headquarters. We can have like branded vehicles, the merchandise, slogans, quotes, memes, gifts, social media accounts, PR. Gareth, if you started a cult, I'll be there. You know that I'll be. My man, it's only a matter of 5 years.
We got some ideas, not necessarily a cult, but we'll do something. So here, this is funny. Bichleng says, "G's wanting Mojolo this year. Somebody gather Mbulelo Lebang Sims for those prayers." Wow. Dogoza says golf is amazing.
No, Dogoza.
We're not gonna have this.
I wouldn't call it amazing. No.
Yeah, no, amazing. I want Dogoza. Please. Golf.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, man.
Okay, so secret handshakes is what Congo Chris says. That's part of the cult thing. We've got to have a secret handshake.
Yes.
You know, that is something I think could be quite fun. Is like if we started a
cult.
Well, not a no. You see, that's a bad word. I don't like the word cult or sect. Sect and cult are bad words.
I like that. Sect.
I don't know. I got to figure out exactly what this is, but we'll get it. Maybe we rejuvenate the ANC
and take collective rejuvenation.
Imagine vaginal rejuvenation for the ANC.
Please, much easier to start a cult.
Hey, some good news. China has reopened its borders after 3 years of COVID lockdown. They finally. That is. And you know that they're worse. Their COVID numbers are worse than ever right now.
Yeah. So
they cannot contain this anymore. So again, proof that all the lockdown people were wrong is that even China, the authoritarian utopian dream of people who love government control, they couldn't even keep a lid on this thing. And now at the moment where there are the most cases they've ever had, they have to open up because it's just going to kill their country if they don't.
So I hope they've unlocked the barricades they put up on people's front doors.
Those people, they sold it and welded into their apartments. Do you remember? Well, they're going to find a lot of bodies because what did those people eat?
Each other.
Wow.
Exactly. It'll be just desiccated corpses.
Which part would you eat first if
Oh
you're
my
stuck with the
God.
room? The lips. I think
No.
I would just chow someone's lips and then I could just.
Everybody says that's very disturbing. Jeffrey Dahmer. If you had to eat someone, no, you've got to start with the biggest muscle, the butt muscle.
bum.
No way,
Yeah.
rump
steak.
Good. No,
I think I would have such a problem. I would have such a problem eating human meat.
The lips and the eyelids would make for nice nibbles. Like,
I
would.
If we are going down on a plane together, I'm going to make sure I die like this.
It's going to be a Rick and Morty episode.
Oh my God. Sanella says, vaginal rejuvenation of the ANC. Nothing can clean that hole. Carl says, vaginal rejuvenation of the ANC makes sense because they're a bunch of cunts. People are hitting hard for the first week of the year.
Man,
yeah.
That
needs more than a vaginal thingy. It needs a hysterectomy and a start over.
Well, this is assuming the ANC is female. I think it's actually quite male. Okay, so listen, there are a lot of comments here about kind of people's resolutions for the new year. I'm not going to get into too much of that because unless Leigh-Ann and Eugene, do you have any resolutions? I told you about my lists, which are still flexible because I often, if I can't do all three things, it'll just move on to the next year. There's no pressure. And I'm not going to suddenly give up this or start this or that kind of shit doesn't impress me. And people always, by the end of January, they've forgotten their resolutions. Do you have any?
I do. My first one is, it came true very quickly, was to see Thabo Mbeki stop talking. And he did that. It was my New Year's resolution. I couldn't stand that single thing that Thabo Mbeki wanted to say to me.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm fine with you.
What happened? When did he stop?
I
thought he was still going.
After the conference, he stopped because clearly he was not as wise as he thought he was.
Someone interviewed him when the top 6 were elected.
Oh, God.
And he was like, we don't really have, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say.
See, that's the guy we're talking about.
Right.
Carl Niehaus is busy starting his own cult, fighting for black people. And I'm like,
no black people are interested. None, not one, ever. Not even one. Jesus.
I'm like, Carl, you look wrong to fight for black people. That's not there. So
what's your resolution?
But my resolution is to do things with my friends. I love doing stuff with people I like being around. It's so joyful.
That is so right. I had some good experiences this holiday with a couple of my friends.
There
and I never need to be around people for too long because I get irritating, I think. I'm gonna blame me.
Irritated.
I'm gonna blame me because I don't want to blame them.
Yes.
But good memories that because I still remember that lunch that you and Rabin and I went on.
Yes.
I want to do stuff like that more, where I actually have quality time with people, real conversations, laugh, joke, have the best, and then like I don't have to see you for another.
And you know what's fun about being with people that you enjoy is hearing what they have to say. Because oftentimes we want to tell them what we want them to know. But sometimes when you hear someone, you're like, oh my goodness, I would have never heard this if I was just me by myself. So I want that. I want more and more and more of that.
Lovely.
Yeah. So
you, Leigh-Ann?
I'm actually a very inconsistent person. I'm either giving things my all or not at all.
That's very consistent.
Yeah, that is true. So I don't want to, set myself up for failure by saying this is what I want to do because I know I'm not going to be consistent. So for me, it's just to try and bring in more balance, really, and be more consistent. To not be overdoing things in 1 week and then doing nothing the next. I just want to kind of become more reliable,
Like that.
Balance. That was the woman I worked with when I had a school job at Stutterford's. Every night. Why?
No, we thought her actual name was Balance, and we thought.
Oh no!
No, she could only be Zimbabwean if her name was Balance.
No, I used to work with her. I don't actually remember her name, but every night we used to have to balance the tills before we went home.
You worked at Stutterford?
Yeah, it was a miracle when they did balance, and she'd go, "Oh, we balance," and then we could celebrate and go home.
Okay. So Kampamba says the cult slogan has to be "Stop Nonsense."
Yeah.
And that is exactly it. Don't forget, we are declaring this the year of Stop Nonsense, and we are actually going to make some T-shirts. We're talking to Sanele, among others, about Stop Nonsense, because this is what we need to do. Society needs us to stop this nonsense, and we need to stop all the people who are creating the nonsense. So this is where it's going to happen. Great office. Stop nonsense. That's going to be our sign outside the Cliff Central office.
Get your car washed.
Yeah, I love it. All right. That is all we got time for, people. Thank you for an awesome morning. This is a great way to start the year. I hope you're feeling all energized and ready to do all the cool things. And if you've already been at work for a week, sorry. If you are feeling sorry for yourself at the start of this year and you're worried about stuff, just remember what Eugene said earlier on. All the things that you think are the biggest issues that you're never going to be able to overcome and blah, blah, blah. Like in 2 months' time, it's probably not going to matter to you. Right? Stop nonsense.
And just balance.
There we go. Just find some balance. All right, lovely. Thanks, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.